What's going on, everyone? So, sources tell me the Clippers have been offering one unprotected first round pick and a pick swap for James Harden. The Sixers have been valuing Terrence Mann as well as multiple first round draft picks. This was per Shams on James Harden and a potential Clippers trade. We ended up getting from Woj, floated the idea that the Clippers might take that 2028 pick, assuming that's the pick that's in the offer, whether it's unprotected or not, shop it around the league as an unprotected pick, presumably from what I've heard to see. Now, this is what I've heard now. If they can get 2 first-round picks, 2 protected picks, like maybe they are lightly protected or maybe they're picks that are just okay. Maybe it's a team that just wants a quantity of picks instead of that one pick, and see if that satisfies the 76ers. So the Clippers are looking and exploring to try to add more first-round draft picks. Now, they don't have a ton of players that would be worth a first-round pick for many teams, but to kind of explain what Woj is talking about, because it was a little bit confusing, and I've seen people kind of be a little all over the place with it. Essentially, what they're trying to do, they're trying to find a team like Utah or the Knicks or OKC that has this treasure trove of draft picks and saying hey, you have, 8 picks in the next 2 drafts. You're not going to go and draft 8 rookies and play all of them. So what if we give you an unprotected 2028 pick, right? This would be post Kawhi. This would be post Paul George. This would be post everybody. That pick could be very valuable. We'll give you that pick in exchange for 2 or 3 of your random draft picks that you have, dealer's choice, and we'll do that kind of swap. So basically, they're trying to take their 2028 unprotected first round pick and turning that into 2 or 3 just random first round picks from one of these teams that just have too many, right? That are looking at it as okay, well, because again, a team like Utah that has 8 firsts or 9 firsts in the next 3 drafts or whatever, right? They're not going to play and keep all of those guys. At some point, some of these teams are going to have to start looking to unload some of these picks. And the Clippers could be that team and go, hey, we'll kind of consolidate some of your picks. We'll give you a 2028 pick. And one of these teams might see that as value and go, okay, we give these 2 or 3 less favorable picks. I don't know every team's picks that they have, but let's say they're well, we have a pick from Boston, we have a pick from the Knicks, and we have a pick from the Kings, right? Those 3 picks are all this year or next year. All 3 of those teams are going to be very good the next few years, and it's going to end up being a high pick. It's not going to be a lottery pick or a draft pick or something like that. We could take those, go get the Clippers 2028 unprotected pick, and that very likely could be a lottery pick at that time. And, because they're not going to have Kawhi Leonard, they're not going to have Paul George. They've basically gutted all of their tradable assets. So Clippers are probably going to be in a tough spot. That might be a more valuable pick than taking Sacramento's or Boston's pick or whatever. Again, just using an example, right? That's kind of the idea. And then the hope is that the Clippers can go, okay, well, now we can give you Terrence Mann and we can give you these 3 first round picks on top of, whatever else, Robert Covington and Nicholas Batum to kind of match salaries and everything. That's the idea. That's the kind of goal that they're doing here. And they're kind of trying to jump through hoops to go and acquire James Harden. Now, me personally, I don't really understand it. I don't know why the Clippers want James Harden this badly. I understand James Harden wants the Clippers. But one, the Clippers, they don't have any competition. Teams aren't lining up to trade for James Harden. James Harden also has the ability to be a free agent. So the difference between James Harden and a Donovan Mitchell or a Damian Lillard, because I'm sure there's some people that are thinking, well, look what happened to Dame. Dame wanted Miami and he ends up going elsewhere. Or look at Donovan Mitchell. He thought he was going to the Knicks. And then he goes, the difference is those 2 guys were under multi-years left on their contract. James Harden can leave any team that trades for him. So one, how many teams have the assets and the players to gut their team to go get James Harden? James Harden be the missing piece that makes sense for them, and also run the risk of losing him because he wanted to go to the Clippers, right? This isn't a Kawhi Leonard situation where Kawhi was at the time arguably, the best player, if not top 3 to 5 in the league. And it was like he could be a real difference maker to go win an NBA championship, and Toronto goes and makes a play for him. Like, no, James Harden isn't the same guy anymore that he once was. If this was 27-year-old James Harden, even with all just the madness that James Harden's doing, the teams would line up to go trade for him. And I mean, I understand the allure of Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Paul George, and Kawhi Leonard. But how does that look? We've seen what Russell Westbrook and James Harden look like together. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard can't stay healthy. Russell Westbrook and James Harden are not winning you anything, right? James Harden wasn't able to win with Joel Embiid in the East. He wasn't able to win with Russ, a couple years ago. Wasn't able to win with in his prime Chris Paul, right? And James Harden just completely disappears in the playoffs. So now you're going to have Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, just based on history, not be in the playoffs. And then you're going to have James Harden, who just completely disappears in the playoffs. And you gave up all of your assets, all of your flexibility and everything, which you already have barely nothing, to go and get James Harden for what? I don't look at James Harden and go, man, that's the missing piece for the Clippers. I don't even know if that makes the Clippers better. Seriously, because James Harden is going to go and come to the Clippers and be the third, fourth option? Where does James Harden fall in the pecking order? Because if Kawhi's healthy, he's the number 1. If Paul George's healthy, he's number 2. So is James Harden going to be okay with just being the point guard? And then Russell Westbrook, he's going to come off the bench? Is he going to be happy coming off the bench when he did that for the Lakers, went to the Clippers, starting for the Clippers, and now James Harden's there? Or are they going to run all 4 of them? So then what? Is James Harden going to be okay with basically scoring 15 points a game, right? When he still believes he's that guy, right? I don't see it. And he's going to want a new contract. He's going to want a bigger contract. And he's hoping that the Clippers are going to extend him. But if it doesn't work out, why would the Clippers extend him? And why would any team want to take a risk on James Harden right now? The last 3 destinations he's been at, all he's done is implode those teams, right? Right now, James Harden is playing ball. But how long does he play ball for? He's playing ball because he doesn't want to sabotage him potentially going to the Clippers. If the Clippers bail out and say, you know what, forget it, it's not worth it, I am pretty confident that we're going to see James Harden's true colors, because all we have to go off of is what James Harden's track record is. And that is, in Houston, he completely sabotaged, played as poorly as he possibly could, purposely was throwing games and doing the bare minimum, showing up out of shape to camp, so much so that there were rumors and reports that he was wearing a fat suit because people couldn't believe that he was that out of shape. Then he goes to the destination he wants, which is the Brooklyn Nets. They don't win anything. He throws a tantrum again. He demands a trade and requests it out. And then, so he wants to go to Philly. Again, another destination he wanted to go to. And here we are all over again. It's just it's becoming this endless circus. And it's why would any team, even the Clippers, I understand Steve Ballmer, he just wants to win and he's extremely passionate. And he basically just has $1 billion under his couch cushions and money is literally nothing to him, right? And the way he looks at it is who cares? I'll just buy a new team in a few years, right? I'm talking about players for the Clippers, right? He's not worried about the money or anything like that. He care less about any of that stuff. He just wants to win. And I understand the allure and appeal of James Harden because look, he still led the league in assists. He's still a 20 and 12 guy, right? He's still a very valuable piece. I just don't think he makes sense for the Clippers, right? If you took Russell Westbrook out of the equation, maybe, right? But you're going to end up having to play Russ. And there's going to be times where you're going to have James Harden and Russ on the court. And I don't know. I don't see this really I don't see James Harden going to the Clippers and going, man, like, watch out, Clippers are scary, right? Like, this isn't Dame going to the Bucks or Drew Holiday and Porzingis going to the Celtics or Bradley Beal going to the Suns. Like, I just don't think that makes sense, personally. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What do you think the Clippers should do? You think that they should go and push for James Harden? You think no? How do you feel? What your thoughts are? I'd love to hear it. Let me know.